remarkably stable and close race between Trump and Biden. This Fox poll from this month shows Biden at 50%, Trump at 48%. That is within the margin of error, though a slight increase in support for Biden since the most recent Fox poll prior. Thursday's debate could be one of the few opportunities for either campaign to shake things up. How can they score points for themselves and against their opponent? And what do previous debates show us about that? Joining me now is Frank Luntz, longtime Republican pollster, veteran focus group researcher who spent many debates watching exactly how voters react to candidates on stage. And Frank, it's great to have you. I read your piece in the Times describing what you learned through the years watching focus groups react to debates. And you say quite clearly here that the things we tend to talk about, whether it's a verbal gaffe or a stumble, that kind of thing, are not what voters focus on. You say the focus in your experience has been when candidates attack each other in defining ways or undermine the political case that each wants to present to Americans, viewers will quickly decide whether the accusations are fair and the response is effective. Tell us why you believe that's the real thing that viewers take away.
Well, I've watched 30 of the 32 presidential debates in my adult lifetime with voters, and they tell me three things. Number one, they are listening for the quips, the quotes, that Ronald Reagan will not hold the age and inexperience his opponent against him. That was the end of that debate. Or Reagan in 1980 asking the question, are you better off now than you were 4 years ago? Those are memorable. But in the end, what matters most is the personality, the humanity of the individual. Do they like the individual? Do they trust them? Is this someone who gives them confidence? You see that I'm here in the middle of an airport. I've been flying back and forth between Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin because those are the three states that matter. And they tell me two things: affordability and immigration. Affordability, that's health care and housing, food and fuel, and immigration. Do they feel safe? Is the border secure? And that's what they're going to be looking for. But in the end, it's how the candidates present the issues are as important as the issues themselves.
So let me ask you that, because when you talk about humanity, right, and well, however you want to use that term, but if you look at the most recent debate between Biden and Trump 4 years ago, that was not a quality that many Republican or Democratic commentators ascribed to President Trump's performance there. Does that, in your view, then give Biden an advantage to some degree, if that's a focus of voters as they watch?
Believe me, if that's the outcome of this debate, if Donald Trump does the same thing that he did in that very first presidential debate, he will lose this election. Because in the end, suburban women listened and they watched him and they didn't like what he did to Joe Biden. It's not that they disagreed with him. They thought that his personality was too much. Now, voters, I think, are going to be listening to Joe Biden even more. Is he up to it? We know what he's done over the last 4 years. What's he going to do over the next 4 years? I believe it's going to be a record viewership, at least on CNN. I think that people are going to be paying attention to every word. I'm glad that there's going to be those commercial breaks, because we're going to be interviewing undecided voters, and you have no idea how hard it is to find an undecided voter in Pennsylvania or Michigan or Wisconsin. Everyone's made up their minds.
Yeah.
We want to track them because I want to see how important personality is versus how important policy is.
Understood. There's a lot of expectations management going on for both sides now, particularly as Kristen Holmes was just detailing in the Trump campaign. The feeling, it seems to be, that they have so attacked Joe Biden's mental sharpness that now they feel like they need to say, well, actually, maybe that's not true. He's so experienced, etc. Why? Why do you think that is happening from the Trump camp right now?
Because he started listening to voters, and voters started repeating exactly what Trump has been saying. And when you're repeating it and the expectations are that low for Joe Biden as they were for George W. Bush back in 2000, if you set the expectations that low, it becomes easy for your opponent to exceed them. I think that was a fundamental mistake of the Trump campaign, to be so vicious and so consistent in saying that Joe Biden cannot complete a sentence, is not capable of being president. And now if Biden does well in that debate, it's going to make Biden look even stronger, and it's going to be a very tough thing for Donald Trump to overcome. I don't think that's going to happen. I think we're going to be watching for both sides. for gaffes on both sides. I know that there are drinking games being created on both sides. I believe this is the most important night in this election campaign, and this is the most important debate since JFK versus Richard Nixon in 1960.
Wow, notable. Just in terms of the overall picture, you follow the polling quite closely. And as we were coming in, we described that the polling is quite consistent for a number of months, although recently, the Fox News poll being one of them, showed a slight movement in Biden's direction. And you saw some of that in the wake of Trump's felony convictions there. Do you agree there's been a slight move in Biden's, and I'm emphasizing the word slight here, or do you think it's noise in the polling?
We did a focus group for the New York Times the night of that announcement of Trump's conviction, and there was slight movement. I don't think it's significant, and the national polling doesn't matter. The only, and will be the takeaway for everyone watching right now, 3 states, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin. That's all that matters. And in the debate, it's who you are, not just what you believe that matters. I urge listeners, viewers, to go to the New York Times today, take a look at it, because this debate really matters. This election really matters. You know what? So does American democracy.
No question. So, to that point, when polls ask voters about their top issues, the economy, certainly affordability, as you mentioned, is huge. Also, democracy. Now, I wonder on that issue of democracy, because Biden has made that central to his campaign, saying Trump is a threat to democracy. But it struck me as interesting that you will have those on the right who will say democracy is a top issue, but they see Biden as the threat to democracy, whether that's substantiated or not. Do you find when you speak to voters groups that they look at both candidates to some degree as a threat to democracy, depending on what end of the spectrum they're coming from?
Up until a few months ago, that was strictly a Joe Biden issue. But Donald Trump and his campaign has made it an issue of election corruption, whereas Biden will talk about voters' suppression, not having the ability to vote. In the end, if our democracy is at stake, it tells you exactly how important this election is. And in the end, the negativity, the viciousness, the back and forth that's already been worse than anything you've seen, you're going to dump $2 billion on these swing voters from swing states, and all of it's going to be negative. I just hope that Thursday night, when that debate is over, people turn away from their computers, turn away from their televisions, feel better and feel more optimistic about the future. I don't think that's going to happen. I think we're going to have a battle royale. It's going to feel more like a wrestling match. And I think we're going to be worse off on Friday than we were on Thursday.
Yeah, I mean, I share your hopes, Frank, but I also share your skepticism. Frank Luntz, always good to have you. I'm sure it's not the last time we talk to you about this.
But it'll be the last time from the Denver airport, I promise.
Okay, fair enough. Well, we appreciate that. I'm sure I was in that airport recently. Thank you, Frank. A reminder, we are just 3 days away from the debate hosted by CNN. Don't miss President Biden, former President Trump, head-to-head Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern Time.